Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
You can see the Jupyter notebook, right?
Yes.
Good. So regarding this one, do you remember what we all went through? Data types, data variables. If you have any questions,
Yeah, it's a basic thing. Yeah, we can go ahead.
no, no. So I'm asking you, do you have any questions on that? On any of the things? Like, did you get time to practice and all?
Yes, yes.
So any questions?
No, not yet.
Okay. Okay. So last day, by the end, so we were just trying to do this thing, conditional statement. So conditions work by, it as the name says, it's on a particular condition. And we just went through if else. So this is how a traditional if else statement will work. So it has indentation, which I've written here. So indentation is like, so this is Python's way of writing codes. So, so it's known as PEP. So if I'll put it here. So PEP is a standard which is kind of Python has on its own. And every time you do any changes or anything, so Python will make sure it follows the standard protocols and the standard instructions. If I run this statement without the indentation, see, I'm getting an error. It clearly tells me there is, yeah, you're saying something?
Nothing. Indentation here.
Yeah, it clearly says this is an indentation error. And the good thing is, I don't need to know how much space I have to provide. So it's like, so once there is a statement, you put a colon here and just hit the enter. It will take you directly to that position where it should be. And then you put your print statement and it will work. So these are few of the things that you should take care of, before actually started coding. And yeah, so this is if let's say you have a binary kind of situation, like whether this one or that one. So for those kind of situations, okay, you did remember something, right? Last time we said about input, the input function.
Hmm.
And so what this will do, so this will ask for an input from the user.
For value
That
or
is
name,
what,
anything. Yeah.
yeah, enter a number, enter a name, whatever. Now, the problem is, so if I run this, I have something in the Python, I will get an error here. Hopefully, I'll not get an error. Yeah. So there is something wrong with the input statement and something is not. So from my end, it might, I might get an error because of that. And see here, it says the code is still running. So I have to interrupt the kernel and then I have to start working on it again. So it's kind of not right in my end. Anyway, so can you do one thing, Ranjit? Can you just tell me, can we use if else and can we take any user input number and tell whether it's even or odd? Or let's say, let's not, let's keep it simple. Okay. First, how to calculate if a particular number is even or odd? Let's do that. So what should be the formula? How should we do it?
Input X.
Let's ignore input for now. So if let's say there is a number which is 55, so if I have to write a code in if else,
Yeah.
what,
55.
hmm,
And
no,
what is
what is
other?
the condition? So how do we check if something is even or something is odd? By dividing it with 2, right?
Hmm.
If the number is getting divided by 2 with no remainder, with remainder 0, that means that is an even number. And if I'm getting a remainder 1, that is an odd number, right?
Yeah.
So here in what we can do is let's write the formula first and then we will put that in if else. So, let's go step by step. So, firstly, we don't need to write a lot of things, and then if there is an error, we will not be able to tell where exactly or how exactly the error is coming. So, let's start this. Y is equal to x divided by 2. So, what this will give me, if I run this is straight away dividing this number. But I
Mm.
don't need that. I need the remainder. So what I will do, I will use a percentage. Now I'm getting 2. Just remember this thing. So the mathematical operations that we have, addition, deletion, subtraction, multiplication, everything works perfectly. Just that, for your division operation, x by 2, it's literally dividing this number by 2 and is giving 27.5. But what if I need the percentage? I'm getting this. This is known as modulus operator. This is known as modulus operator. So x percent 2, it's like 55 divided by 2. So 2 into 27 is giving 54, remainder is 1. So that's what is getting stored in y. So now we know this is the formula we need to put in the if else, right? Now let's do the final if else one. That same thing, x is 55. Now if x percentage 2 is equal to 1. Now see, there is one more difference here. Instead of writing 1, I've written 2. Can you tell me why?
Even number.
Not really. So in
Equal.
Python, tell me.
So 2 equal to 1, so it will give only equal even numbers. No?
No, no. In Python, 1 equal to is used to assign a particular value, and
Mm-hmm.
two equal tos are used to check
Okay.
between this and this, right?
Mm.
So 1 equal to single equal to is to assign a variable, but double equal to is to check two values, right? As simple as that. So every time throughout our code, we have used what? Uh, Single equal. So every time whenever single equal, that means we wanted to store the value of S1 dot this whole thing on S3. That's why. So just remember it like that. So whatever you have on your right hand side, you want to store everything into the left hand side. That is when you will equal a single equal. And double equal are meant for equality check. Like if x means whatever the value is there in x, if that value is equal to the other side, the left hand side and the right hand side are matching or not. That's why there are two equals, right? So this is my condition. If this is divisible by 2 and if I'm getting a remainder which is 1, then print it's an odd number, right? Else print this is an even number. So if I'm running it, it clearly tells me it's an odd number. And if I do, let's say 54, if I run this, then it's telling me this is an even number. So this is a simple formula to check whether a particular number is even or odd, right? Now let's take one step further and let's take user input values. So we have already seen input function. If you write anything within the input function, it will ask user for any number, and you can if you store that input into x or y into or some variable, and that variable we can use for our programming. So that will be the user input number. Now my side will not give me the right result. So can you do it from your end? So let me just write the formula for you. X is equal to input, enter a number. Ranjit, can you write it on your end as well?
Actually, I'm seeing my mobile. So my laptop got some issues.
Oh, you would not be able to do it to run it, is it?
Yeah, so by today evening I will get my laptop. So tomorrow I can able to work out.
Ah, okay, all right, no worries. So X is equal to input. This will take, an user input number into this variable, and then this thing will work. This. So X is if X now if X percent 2 is 1, and so rest of the things will remain same. But even if we run this, it will give me an error. Reason being, the input function, whenever it takes an input from the user, it will store that in the form of a string. Now, that is a problem. I'm not able to run it on my end because of some issue. Otherwise, I would have shown you. So what we have to do, we have to put an integer here and convert that particular number into an integer. So x is equal to integer of whatever the user will enter. Now this is an integer. So now this, percentage 2 modulus function will work. So like, this division operation will work. If imagine it's a string, doesn't matter if it is 5 or whatever. Let's do it separately here. Let's say x is equal to 5, right? So type of x is integer. But what if this is a string? Now, now this is a string, right? So if we use input function, this is what I'm going to get. So we will not be able to do any mathematical operation on this. X plus 2. It will give me an error. X into 2. It will give me an error. So now here it's not giving me an error because star 2 is essentially adding this number twice. It's not really, multiplying it. Rather, it's just adding the characters one after another. Hence, I'm saying 2. So
Mm.
if I put 20, I'm getting 20. So it's not really working. That's not how I intended this to work. So coming back here, so if you put this and run this, this will give you the desired output. So that is one thing. And so that's about if else and one single statement if you have one number to check. But what if you had multiple numbers to check, like, multiple ifs and else? So in that case, we will use and or and or. So and or will basically help me to check two conditions simultaneously. So let's use the same thing here again. X is equal to 54, y is equal to 99. So if first what I'm checking, if x is a x is a odd number or not. If this and y percentage 2 is equal to 1, then both are odd number. Both are even number. And let's make it 55. Both are odd number. Okay, let's make it like this. Else, if let's put the condition like this. If this is equal to 0 and this is equal to 0. You following, right, Ranjit?
Yeah.
What we're trying to do here. So what we are trying to do is we are basically nesting statements. So we are just adding multiple conditions to see how it works. So this is another L if, and if this did not work, then we will do the final else. So if I run this now, so what I'm getting is both are odd number. Okay, good. Let's make them even and see if it falls into the middle statement or not. Yes, now it's falling into the middle statement. And what if we do have a mix? Yeah, then they are coming here. So just understand how this thing works. So if the first condition is satisfied, it goes here. If the second is satisfied, it goes here. And if none of them are satisfied, then it goes here. So just imagine this as, so every time we fill some form, there are multiple, checkpoints that we need to, we need to tick on, right? Every time, let's say a Google form or something like that. And let's say if all of them are mandatory, that means how the if else would have worked there. So the if else would have worked like if the first check is clicked or not, if the second check is clicked or not, if the third check is clicked or not. If all of them are not clicked, then it will give you a message that you have not checked the the check boxes. Just go back and check them again and then come back. So that's all about this thing. And there is another, so that's all about the conditional statements that we have in Python. Now, this could be, there are multiple variants and multiple complicated things here and there. So that will go in details later. And the one thing that we started in bits yesterday, in the last day, was loops. So loop is something which, yeah, so I explained that already. So Ranjit, can you tell me what you understood about loops?
Loops means multiple numbers we can give, like
Multiple iteration.
iterations. Yeah, a number of iterations we can give.
Correct. And based on two things, like Python has two loops. One is for loop, one is while loop. So for loop will work based on how many executions you want to do. So you have to predefine the number of times the loop will iterate. Okay.
Okay.
Number of, let's say this is iterations. So the for loop will work based on number of iterations, how many times this, looping is happening. 10 times, 5 times, 100 times. But for while also has this iteration thing. But the first thing that while will do, or the important thing is, it will check for a condition. It will do the iteration, but after that, it will check whether that condition is met or not. If not, then do it again like that. So that's why there are
Okay.
two types of, yeah, loops in Python. And now we will see one by one how it works. So this is the basic layout of a for loop. Now, what these values are. So this is how usually we write. So for I in a range, and then there's a colon and indentation and print or sum or whatever you want to do. So let's understand what they are. So I is something which is, let's say, the counter, or the this is more or less the postman. So this postman will keep on moving every time one by one by one, and every time the value will keep on increase for this particular I. So if I print I here, what I'm going to get? Okay, sorry, not print I, yeah, like this. I'm going to get the values of I. You understood the difference, right? So last time I was placed as a character, as a string. That's why it has quotation marks. That is the
Okay.
reason I was getting all i's 10 times, because every time this condition is happening, I'm getting all the i's printed here. But instead, if I want to see how the value changes, this is what is going to do. Now, just hold on a thought. So what this range function is doing? So range is basically a function. Now, if you know the trick, right? If you want to know about range, you know how to do it. Shift plus tab. This will tell you the function details, or you can Google it to know more about it. But long story short is range will have a starting position and a last position. It will, so as the name says, it's a range, right? It's from start till end. So for loops, range is extremely crucial and important, because loops deals with a starting point and an end point, specifically the for loops. So what we have to do is we have to specify a starting position and ending position, and if we need this one to have jumped by steps, then a step as well. But here the important thing is the first one is optional, the last one is optional, only the stop is mandatory, right? So for I in range 10, so what this means is, so this is the by default, by default way of writing range. So what we wrote, range of 10 means we have not specified anything. So the default value is it starts from 0 unless we specify it with some other value. The end position is 10. Now we know we will not going to get 10 here. That is an important thing. I'll come there. And the third one is 1. 1 means just jump or increase the value by one position. 0 plus 1, 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 1, 3, like that. Now 10, but we are getting here 9. And why is that? Because this increment is happening after the print statement. So first time, for the very first time, this is how the statement looks like. For I is equal to 0, in range this, sorry, for I in range this. So first the position, so just imagine the value of I is 0 now. We don't write it, but it takes the value from here. Now the value of I is 0. I have asked it to just increment it by 1, but not now, later. So it will just come here. It will not do anything. It sees like, it has been asked to just print that particular value. So 0 is printed. So once the print is done and it goes back again to the for loop for the next time, there it sees, it has been asked to get incremented by 1. So the next time the value of I becomes 1, and 1 falls within 10. So every time this condition will also be checked, like if this value, the value of I is less than 10 or not. So every time it's less than 10, it will execute. 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's say now this value is 9. So 9, we'll see if 9's value is less than 10. Yes, it is less than 10. It will come here, it will print 9 here. 9 is printed. Now, once it exits the for loop, it goes at the starting position. It will get incremented by 1. So now the value of 9 becomes 10. So if 10 is less than 10, makes no sense. Hence, this condition is not getting executed and the loop stops here. So I'm getting 9 and not 10. Are we clear on that, Ranjit?
Little bit confusing.
A little bit confusing. Okay. Where exactly in the, like, in the range?
Yeah, in the range.
So range, as the name says, it's just you are specifying the distance well in advance, like the distance from Bangalore to Chennai. You're just specifying that distance. Your Bangalore is the starting point, Chennai is the end position. So here the starting position, we no need to mention it, so we can ignore it. How many times we have ignored it? So this is what we wrote initially, right?
Yeah.
This is what we wrote. So the starting position is Bangalore. We have not specified. So Python will understand if nothing is mentioned here, it should start from 0.
Mm,
That is the first argument of a range function.
mm,
Then in the next is your stop. Where exactly to stop? You have to stop at Chennai. So what is the value for that? Value is 10. So two of
mm.
the things you have, you know your starting position Bangalore, which is 0. The end position is Chennai. And the third position is step. Now, if nothing is mentioned, again, what it will do, it will take probably one step at a time. The value of the step will be 1. So it will be incremented by 1. Let's say 1 is a kilometer. So Bangalore is 0. So every time until it reaches Chennai, it will increment by 1 kilometer, 1 kilometer, 1 kilometer. Then only it can do the movement. Then only it can travel from one location to another location. And that is what exactly loop is doing. It essentially travels. It helps you to travel from one place to another. And within that travel, whatever we want to do within that particular segment, we can do. We can do
Okay.
print, plus, addition, deletion, whatever,
Mm,
right? So that is what
okay.
range does, and that is what the values of range are. So essentially, it helps us to loop it. How many times we have to specify? So if we don't specify anything, this is what I'm getting. I'm getting an error because the range is expecting us to, provide at least some value, like the destination. It knows the starting default I is 0. So it knows where to start, let's say from Bangalore, but until unless we specify where exactly to go, Chennai, Kerala, where exactly, it's going to give us error. So that is what range is all about, and it was done using for loops. Any
Mm.
questions?
No, no, no.
Okay. Now what you can do, you can do any sort of operation here. Let's say I plus I. Simple.
Okay. So it will add 5 plus 1.
Yeah, x is equal to I plus I, print x. So every time what it's doing, it's just adding those values. So first was 0, 0 plus 0, 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2, 3, then 3 plus 3, and this is 4 plus 4, like that. So we can do anything within loops. So we will go in details about how to code in loops and all, but just understand this is what this is.
Okay.
Any questions until now? Can you tell me a real world application where you think loop can be beneficial? Just think of just a wild guess or something.
In SQs, Amazon buying SQs and all, if we add in the cart,
I'm sorry.
in the cart adding.
Hmm.
So how many numbers we want, we can able to press it, no? So that in the backward is the Python may run, if I'm not
Uh,
wrong.
the the card, as in like the ATM card or something you're saying?
Yeah, ATM card. And even in Amazon also sometimes the numbers we will be changing, no?
Mm-hmm.
And that also I think these loops can work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a valid point. Let's say, let me give you a small example. Let's say you are, so you are working in a bank, right?
Yeah.
Now, the ATM card, you have an ATM card and your PIN code is, let's say, 123. Now you want
Mm,
to withdraw some money, you entered 456. The
okay.
ATM machine will tell you this is a wrong entry. Please give you the
Correct.
correct. Exactly. So you do it again. Next time you gave, let's say 789. The machine will tell you this is a wrong. Just give the correct one. The third time you gave, let's say a different one, 000. The machine will say your card has been blocked. Please reach out to the bank and get that resolved. Now
Yeah.
you reach out to bank and bank will say this is the thing. Three times you have gave wrong informations. So just correlate how beneficial it is to have loop over there. So what this
Yeah.
loop does is, loop will essentially see if the values are matching with, so I mean it's kind of predefined with only three iterations. So I just want it to happen three times. So
Okay.
if that within that three times, if you are giving correct pin code, I will let you use the ATM and withdraw money or whatever. But if you will give me error in those three times, I will just block your card. For of course for safety purposes, and that is important. But yeah, so that would be a good implementation of loops, while loop. Usually while loop I would say, because that's not for loop. That's essentially while loop. It's based on a particular condition.
Yeah.
Let's see how a while loop works. So for while loop, what we have to do is first, let's say there is a value I is equal to 1, and while I less than equal to 6, then print I, and then I is equal to what am I doing? I plus 1. So if I run this is what I'm going to get. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye. Yeah.